first point I wanted to do this morning is a practical point. If you go to Steps to Christ, page 71.
Also den ersten Punkt, den ich machen möchte, ist ein praktischer Punkt. Gehen wir zu Schritte zu Jesus, Seite 71.
71, paragraph 2.
Absatz 2.
Daniel, you stick that in the live stream in German, please. Right. Okay, it says, when the mind dwells upon self, it is turned away from Christ, the source of strength and life. Hence it is Satan's constant effort to keep the attention diverted from the Saviour, and thus prevent the union and communion of the soul with Christ. The pleasures of the world, life's cares and perplexities and sorrows, the faults of others, or your own faults and imperfections. To any or all of these he will seek to divert the mind. Do not be misled by his devices. Many who are really conscientious and would desire to live for God, he too often leads to dwell upon their own faults and weaknesses, and thus by separating them from Christ, he hopes to gain the victory. We should not make self the centre and indulge anxiety and fear as to whether we shall be saved. All this turns the soul away from the source of our strength. Commit the keeping of your soul to God and trust in him. Talk and think of Jesus. Okay, a question. What does it mean to talk and think of Jesus? Does it just mean you have a picture of Jesus in your mind and you dwell upon this?
Also was bedeutet das, von Jesus zu sprechen und an ihn zu denken?
Okay, it says in the Psalm 119 that put thy word in my heart that I might not sin against thee. Right?
Sagt er in einem Psalm, ich setze dein Wort in mein Herz, dass ich nicht gegen dich sündige.
Right. So I realize that I have been guilty of this. Right. You focus on the perplexities and your weaknesses and.
Und ich habe erkannt, ich bin selbst daran schuldig. Ich gucke auf meine Umstände und auf meine Schwachheiten.
Okay, so we have to put those promises in our mind that, and you constantly think upon those. Whenever a situation comes, you bring the promise to your mind and you dwell upon it, and that's your strength, right?
Deswegen müssen wir die Verheißung in unseren Verstand tun, dass wir letztendlich immer, wenn irgendwelche solche Dinge aufkommen, wir uns auf diese Verheißung fokussieren können.
It says, let self be lost in him, put away all doubt, dismiss your fears. Say with the Apostle Paul, I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Rest in God, he is able to keep that which you have committed to him. If you will leave yourself in his hands, he will bring you off more than conquerors through him that loved you. Amen. So it's about learning to trust, and where you have the trust and the strength from is from the promises. Right? So.
Also es geht darum zu lernen und zu vertrauen, und wo du die Kraft und den Glauben davon bekommst, ist halt durch die Verheißung.
Okay, so we have to really, the character of God is there in the Bible, right? We have to take it and put it in our minds so that we think and act according to these words and not according to our own flesh, right?
Also der Charakter Gottes ist in der Bibel, und wir müssen diese Dinge in uns aufnehmen, dass wir gemäß diesen Dingen denken und nicht gemäß unseres Fleisches.
Okay, so first point, well, this next point I want to discuss now is this understand about 2016.
Den ersten Punkt, den ich jetzt diskutieren möchte, ist das Verständnis über 2016.
Now,
maybe the light is
Now, when we came to 2016, we experienced a little version of the Midnight Cry.
Als wir zu 2016 kamen, haben wir sozusagen eine Miniaturversion des Mitternachtsrufs erlebt.
In the sense that all the prophecies that pointed to that time seemed to be fulfilling right before us.
In dem Sinne, dass all die Weissagungen, die auf den Mitternachtsruf hinweisen, vor unseren Augen sich in einem gewissen Maß erfüllt haben.
But the thing that was missing was the power.
Aber der Punkt, der gefehlt hat, war die Kraft.
So as the months and weeks and months and then years start to go by, we thought, what was 2016? It was like all those things were fulfilling and we couldn't understand it.
Also dann vergingen die Wochen, die Monate und dann letztendlich auch die Jahre. Und wir haben dann gesehen, all diese Sachen haben sich erfüllt, aber was bedeutet das jetzt?
So when we came to this vision of Early Writings 54, you had this light, and then followed by the exceeding bright light. The immediate thing was, the light that came before the exceeding bright light must have been 2016.
Deswegen, als wir dann die Vision gelesen haben mit dem Licht und dem überaus hellen Licht, dann haben wir gedacht, ja okay, dann muss das dieses Licht gewesen sein 2016 und das überaus helle Licht kommt noch.
But I'm seeing now that 2016 has a different, but I think even better significance now.
Aber ich sehe jetzt, dass 2016 eine andere Bedeutung hat, aber die sogar noch viel besser ist.
Now, the other day, I spent much time going through these 1260s, right? The last week of Christ.
Also vor ein paar Tagen habe ich viel Zeit aufgebracht, diese 1260er aufzuzeigen, diese letzte Woche von Christus.
Right, and the principle is, right, when you have this time of trouble, within the time of trouble, there's two times of trouble, right?
Und das Prinzip ist, dass innerhalb der Zeit der Trübsal gibt es zwei Zeiten der Trübsal.
Right, so again here, right, yeah, we know that we have a 1260, right?
Also hier drin haben wir wieder eine 1260.
And then when you go to Revelation 12, right?
Und wenn du zur Offenbarung 12 kommst,
you have two times of trouble.
Dann hast du auch da zwei Zeiten der Trübsal.
Right? And then you can come down here again.
Und dann kann man sogar wieder in so ein Fraktal reingehen.
Right? In this time of trouble, there was two times of trouble. Job's three friends and then Elihu.
Da hast du nämlich in dieser Zeit der Trübsal auch zwei Zeiten der Trübsal. Hiobs drei Freunde und dann Elihu.
Right, but the question was then asked, because specifically in relation to this fractal, right?
Und dann wurde die Frage aber gestellt, besonders in Bezug auf dieses erste Fraktal.
Because normally, right, it's like here and then you have this side and then here and then you have this side, but in this case we went back to this side on this fractal.
Normalerweise hat man das große Fraktal und das kleine Fraktal ist dann immer rechts davon. Ja, aber in diesem Fall war es dann links davon.
Okay, which is this one here, right?
Das ist dann hier dieses Fraktal.
So, yeah, this one here. But so the question was asked, right?
Die Frage wurde dann gestellt.
Shouldn't we have the same on this side, right?
Sollten wir nicht dasselbe auch dann auf dieser Seite hier haben?
Right. And the point was never really focused on it much, because the point is, this is your final test. You're going forward, right? But
der Punkt, den ich dann gemacht habe, ist, ich hab mich damit noch nie so richtig beschäftigt, weil wir haben uns immer auf diese Seite fokussiert, weil da der finale Test ist.
But now it makes sense with all these fractals. It makes a lot of sense that because what are you doing in this time period here?
Aber mit diesem ganzen Fraktal macht das jetzt mehr Sinn, denn was machst du in dieser Zeit dort?
It's a preparation.
Es ist eine Vorbereitung.
And in a preparation time, you know, you have experiences that are going to prepare you for what's coming, right?
Da hast du Erfahrungen für die Dinge, die bevorstehen.
Okay, so I want to 2016 right here, right?
Deswegen möchte ich jetzt hier 2016 hinsetzen.
And if I do this, what does it now do for us?
Und wenn ich das tue, was macht das jetzt für uns? It's midnight. Fractal.
Yes, exactly. It's midnight in a fractal, but what does it do for us?
Also es ist Mitternacht in einem Fraktal, aber was tut das für uns?
Diese Test.
Okay, look.
With all the characteristics.
It's got all the characteristics of these, right?
Also es hat all die Merkmale von diesen Wegmarken dann dort.
Right. So, let's look at the characteristics of these and let's apply it to them and see if those things took place, right?
Lass uns also die Merkmale anschauen von diesen Punkten hier und überlegen, ob das auch 2016 sich erfüllt hat.
So, what's the main characteristic?
Was ist
Ja, right here.
das Hauptmerkmal, was du genau dort hast?
Okay.
Also Licht kommt.
Okay, light comes, right? Okay, did we have light in 2016? Yes, this light was taken to them, right?
Also hatten wir Licht 2016, ja, sehr, sehr deutlich auf jeden Fall.
Okay, two classes, right?
2 Klassen.
Now, I'm specifically writing that. Why would I specifically write that? Right.
Also ich schreibe das jetzt ganz besonders, also hier mit Weizen und Unkraut, denn das war die Kontroverse 2016, die dann diese 2 Klassen hervorgerufen.
This was the controversial point, right? So, who was the wheat and who was the tares?
Wer war das Weizen und wer war das Unkraut?
The tares are those who claimed to be wheat and were pointing at the others. That's what the parable teaches, right?
Also das Unkraut waren diejenigen, die behauptet haben, Weizen zu sein und auf die anderen hingewiesen haben und gesagt haben, das ist das Unkraut.
Right, so this is the final test. Think about final test.
Das ist der
What
finale
should be
Test.
there?
Was sollte da sein?
Strongest evidence.
Stärkster Beweis.
Maybe they were, well, Jeff was certainly given the strongest evidence.
Also Jeff hat auf jeden Fall den stärksten Beweis dort erhalten.
That's not the point I'm thinking about, but
Das ist jetzt nicht der Punkt, wo ich jetzt gerade dran gedacht habe.
yes,
Also eine Erschütterung.
there was a shaking for sure, right?
Ja, auf jeden Fall.
Remember to stand in people's living room and explain it to them.
Delivered up before church councils.
What were we?
I mean, you were
Oh,
standing there.
yes, I was like on trial when I was in Wales. They really wanted to beat me. But the point I'm making is the omega,
Der Punkt, den ich machen möchte, ist der Omega-Abfall.
right? What was the big topic that, straight after that meeting, what was the big topic that burst forth?
Was war dieses große Thema, was da vorwärts ging?
The omega apostasy,
Der
right?
Omega-Abfall.
They just accused us of being the omega, right?
Die haben uns angeklagt, der Omega zu sein.
So, what did they find? What did they find right there?
Und was haben sie da gefunden?
A scapegoat,
Ein Sündenbock.
right? They made our ministry a scapegoat for the very thing that they were doing, right?
Sie haben unser Ministry als einen Sündenbock genommen und all die Dinge auf uns geschoben, die sie in Wirklichkeit getan haben.
So now everything makes sense about this when you look at it in relation to these fractals.
Und jetzt macht das wirklich sehr viel Sinn, was da passiert ist in Bezug auf oder im Kontext dieser Fraktale hier.
And the reason why I'm saying this is because we also thought that this would be lined up with the 21st of July 1844.
Und wir haben ja auch gedacht, dass das dann parallel wäre mit dem 21. Juli 1844.
But it's not.
Aber das ist es nicht.
Okay, the 21st, we've been looking at this little time of peace, right?
Wir haben uns ja diese kleine Zeit des Friedens angeschaut.
I'm absolutely positive that the 21st of July 1844 is marking the beginning of the little time of peace.
Ich bin mittlerweile sehr sicher, dass der 21. Juli 1844 diesen Beginn der kleinen Zeit des Friedens machen wird.
Because Ezekiel, in his vision begins on the 5th day of the 4th month, which was a parallel to 21st of July 1844.
Denn Hesekiel, seine Vision in Hesekiel 1 fängt ja am 5. Tag des 4. Monats an, das war der 21. Juli in der Millerzeit.
Right, and 21st of July 1844 to the 15th of August 1844 is how many days?
Und vom 21. Juli bis zum 15. August sind wie viele Tage?
25 days, right?
25 Tage.
Right? And the Omega apostasy is marking 25 men bowing down to the sun.
Und der Omega-Abfall markiert ja, dass diese 25 Männer vor der Sonne niederfallen.
But that's on this side, right?
Aber das ist auf dieser Seite.
Okay, that's when there's 25 men bow down to the sun, right? That's the falling away. That's the point of controversy.
Wenn dort die 25 Männer ja niederfallen vor der Sonne, ist das dieser Abfall oder dieser Wegfall, das ist dieses Streitthema.
So, I don't know whether this is correct, but in the story of Elijah and Elisha, how many foolish virgins is there?
Und das, was ich jetzt sage, bin ich mir noch nicht ganz sicher, ob das richtig ist, aber in der Geschichte von Elisa und Elia, wie viele törichte Jungfrauen gibt es dort?
50.
50.
Right? Okay, so we've had this thought that right here in this time, this is Jeff's camp, but then when they get to this side, it's Parminder's camp, right?
Wir hatten den Gedanken, dass auf der einen Seite in der kleinen Zeit des Friedens erstmal Jeffs Lager ist und danach kommt Parminders Lager dran.
Right, and they're both marking these 25 men, both marking the Omega apostasy.
Und beide markieren diese 25 Männer, diesen Omega-Abfall.
Okay, so that's just a thought I have to
Das
prove
ist
that
nur
point.
ein Gedanke und den müssen wir noch bestätigen.
But the point is, Ezekiel's vision begins, right? He has this light that's unfolding to him, leading him all the way down. And just go to Ezekiel. Go to Ezekiel.
Gehen wir jetzt mal zu Ezekiel Kapitel 1.
And obviously, everything has to be substantiated, but and given some verse. Yeah. Verse 1.
Vers 1, Ezekiel 1, Vers 1.
It says, Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, I was among the captives by the river of Sheba, that the heavens were opened and I saw visions of God. In the 5th day of the month, which was by the 5th year of the king Jehoiakim's captivity. And what was that? You know, when you're doing your chronological thing, from historical thing, what was that point again? The 30th?
It refers back to the 18th year of Josiah, where this great reformation took place.
Okay, so. Oh, it's going back to 30 years.
Yes.
So this is 30 years later.
This is 30 years later.
To look at that, but it's definitely a reformation. This right here.
Also es ist auf jeden Fall hier eine Reformation, die hier stattfindet.
Okay, but the point that I want to make is that Ezekiel sees this vision unfolding to him, right?
Aber Hesekiel, er sieht jetzt diese Vision, wie sie sich vor ihm entfaltet.
And it leads him down to verse, let's go to verse 27.
Gehen wir jetzt zu Vers 27,
Verse 26, sorry.
oder schon in Vers 26.
And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone, and upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above upon it. What's Ezekiel now seeing?
Was seht Ezekiel jetzt hier?
Right, he's seeing now Christ high and lifted up,
Er
right?
sieht jetzt, wie Christus dort hoch und erhoben ist.
Right? And I saw as the colour of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it, from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward, I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about, as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain. Where do we see
Bis Vers
the
28.
bow in the day of rain
Wo sehen wir den Regenbogen am Tag des Regens
in the Bible?
in der Bibel?
Revelation 10, thank you. Right?
Offenbarung 10.
Revelation 10 is Revelation 18, right? It's just the same.
Offenbarung 10 ist das gleiche wie Offenbarung 18.
Okay, and the day of rain. So was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. Right? And he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee.
Kapitel 2, Vers 1 und
And the
weiter.
Spirit entered into me when he spake unto me, and set me upon my feet, that I heard him that spake with me. Right? So
Bis Vers 2 haben wir gelesen.
I have some thoughts on this now to verify it, but the point I want to make is go to chapter 3.
Also ich habe jetzt ein paar Gedanken, die müssen wir auch noch prüfen. Gehen wir jetzt zu Kapitel 3.
It says, Moreover, he said unto me,
Vers
Son
1.
of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll, and go speak to the house of Israel. Right? So, what's Ezekiel told to do now?
Was wird dem Ezekiel jetzt gesagt zu tun?
No, you're not reading what it says. You're told to eat something, right?
Ihm wird jetzt aufgetragen, hier etwas zu essen.
Right?
Richtig?
Okay, so we come back to our illustration of the Footwashing.
Wir
Right?
kommen zurück zu unserer Darstellung der Fußwaschung.
So the Footwashing took place, and if you didn't receive the Footwashing, what did it not prepare you for?
Und wenn du die Fußwaschung nicht erhalten hast, wofür warst du dann nicht vorbereitet?
To eat of the Passover, right?
Von dem Passa zu essen.
Right? So when he gave Judas, what did he do? He gave him something to eat.
Was hat er mit Judas gemacht? Er hat ihm etwas zu essen gegeben.
And immediately Judas got offended and walked away,
Und
right?
Judas hat sofort Anstoß genommen und ist weggegangen.
So what I'm suggesting, right, is here's where you eat, right? And this would be the beginning of the foot washing.
Also was ich vorschlagen möchte, ist, dass am Ende der kleinen Zeit des Friedens, da isst du dann etwas, da gibt Gott dir etwas zu essen. Und der Anfang der kleinen Zeit des Friedens ist diese Fußwaschung.
In the foot washing, we read, just find those verses this morning you read, Lawrence, about the word. In John 14,
15.
Go to John 15.
Gehen wir zu Johannes 15.
It's verse 3, right?
Yes. Vers 3.
Just let's begin in verse 1 to get the context.
Aber lasst uns schon in Vers 1 beginnen, um den Kontext zu erhalten.
It says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken to you. Right? So how are they clean?
Wie sind sie rein geworden?
The word, right? So what was the words that he spoke to them?
Durch das Wort. Und was waren die Worte, die er zu ihnen geredet hat?
14, 15, 16, 17 chapters of John, right?
Die Kapitel 14, 15, 16 und 17 aus Johannes.
Okay, he's making this point, right? That they are these instructions that he's given them, right? That they are going to bring forth fruit, right?
Diese Anweisungen, die er ihnen gibt, die bringen die Frucht hervor.
Because if you have fruit, you're clean.
Denn wenn du Frucht hast, bist du rein.
So we know right here in Revelation 12, what's the woman looking like?
Wir wissen hier am Ende der kleinen Zeit des Friedens, wie sieht die Frau dort aus? Clothed with the sun.
She's got the garment on, right?
Ja, sie hat das Gewand an, sie ist bekleidet mit der Sonne.
Now we know from parables that you must have on the wedding garment when you come right here, right?
Und wir wissen ja aus dem Gleichnis, dass du das Hochzeitsgewand anhaben musst, wenn du dort zum Mitternacht zukommst.
So now I want you to understand the chapters of John 14, 15, 16, 17. What's what's the topic?
Und was ist das Thema dieser Kapitel aus Johannes 14 bis Kapitel 17?
It's all about abiding in Christ, right?
Es geht beständig darum, in Christus zu verweilen.
I in thee and thou in me,
Ich in dir und du in mir.
right?
Richtig?
It's about having this connection with Christ.
Es geht darum, diese Verbindung mit Jesus zu haben.
Or in other words, it's the combination of the human and the divine, right?
Oder in anderen Worten, es ist die Verbindung der Göttlichkeit mit der Menschlichkeit.
So, in other words, it's instructions upon how to maintain the birth, right?
Oder in anderen Worten, es sind Anweisungen, wie wir diese Geburt aufrechterhalten können.
You get my point?
Könnt ihr meinen Punkt nachvollziehen?
Okay, so when he does this foot washing, right? He's cleansing the heart of all these defilements, right?
Wenn er jetzt hier diese Fußwaschung macht, dann reinigt er das Herz von all den Verunreinigungen.
But the foot washing represents words of instruction.
Und die Fußwaschung, sie repräsentiert Worte der Anweisung.
Because the Bible says, sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth,
Denn
right?
die Bibel sagt ja, heiligt sie durch die Wahrheit, dein Wort ist Wahrheit.
So it's a message that's coming in here, right? That's helping you to understand how to maintain this connection with the human and the divine, right?
Es ist also eine Botschaft, die dort in dieser kleinen Zeit des Friedens kommt, die dir helfen wird zu verstehen, wie du diese Verbindung der Göttlichkeit und der Menschlichkeit aufrechthalten kannst.
So that when you come to the point where he says, eat,
Sodass, wenn du zu dem Punkt kommst, wo er dann sagt, iss,
you don't become offended.
dass du dann da keinen Anstoß nimmst.
Because if you don't receive these words, right, that it cleanses you of all your wrong concepts, when he says eat right here, you will get up. You will become offended and get up and leave the table.
Denn wenn du nicht diese Worte zuvor erhältst und bei der Fußwaschung, die dich reinigt von all deinen falschen Konzepten, dann wirst du dort Anstoß nehmen, wenn er sagt, iss, und du wirst den Tisch verlassen.
Right? So, go back to Ezekiel chapter 3 now, please.
Gehen wir jetzt zurück zu Hesekiel Kapitel 3.
Back to verse 1.
Hesekiel 3, Vers 1.
It says, moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll, and go speak unto the house of Israel. So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat that roll. And he said unto me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowels with this roll that I give thee. Then did I eat it, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. And he said unto me, Son of man, go get thee unto the house of Israel, and speak with my words unto them. And if you come down
Bis
to
Vers
verse
4 haben wir gelesen.
12,
Und jetzt springen wir runter zu Vers 12.
then the Spirit took me up, and I heard behind me a voice of a great rushing, saying,
Vers 14.
Okay, yes, we'll just continue reading.
Bis Vers 14.
Great rushing, saying, Blessed be the glory of the Lord from this place. I heard also the noise of the wings of the living creatures that touched one another, and the noise of the wheels over against them, and a noise of great rushing. So the Spirit lifted me up and took me away, and I went in bitterness, in the heat of my spirit, but the hand of the Lord was strong upon me. Right? So, what I want to suggest is that
Was ich jetzt vorschlagen möchte, also in Vers 14 haben wir gesehen, er ging dann vorwärts in Bitterkeit.
this is the 5th day of the 4th month, right here, where the foot washing begins.
Dass das hier der 5. Tag des 4. Monats ist, wo die Fußwaschung anfängt.
And it leads to this point where Christ says to him, eat.
Und das bringt dich zu dem Punkt, wo Christus sagt, iss.
Right? And this whole process of eating it's this sweet message, but it's a bitter experience, right?
Der Prozess des Essens ist ja, dass es eine süße Botschaft ist, aber da eine bittere Erfahrung darauf folgt.
So once he's eaten it, and gone through this experience, right? Now he can be sent.
Deswegen, sobald er das jetzt gegessen hat und durch diese Erfahrung gegangen ist, kann er jetzt gesandt werden.
So a parallel to that would be, just take this. Parallel to that would be the holy, right?
Also eine Parallele dazu wäre dieses heilig, heilig, heilig.
So like what Isaiah is seeing, he sees the Lord high and lifted up. It's the whole cross experience, right?
Denn was Jesaja ja sieht, ist, er sieht auch den Herrn hoch und erhaben. Es ist diese Kreuzeserfahrung.
But you see that Ezekiel is marking the beginning when he says eat, right there, right?
But isn't it at the end where Ezekiel eats?
No. This is the point that you got to eat it here.
Yes, but I mean, he is right. Here's his Mara vision experience.
From the fifth day of the fourth month.
And then he stands up on his feet and.
Yes, that's the point. It's the first birth. There's a birth at the beginning and there's a birth at the end, right? You're not eating it at the end. You're eating the message at the beginning. That's your cross experience. So.
Also Marc möchte vorschlagen, dass das jetzt hier diese erste Geburt ist, wo er diese Erfahrung hat und jetzt hier am Anfang das ist.
Okay, so we have to look closely at these things, but I'm saying that the vision starts at the fifth day of the fourth month, and it leads you to a point where the Lord says, "Eat," which is the cross, right?
Also die Vision beginnt am 5. Tag des 4. Monats und bringt dich dann zum Kreuz, wo du essen sollst.
Okay, so always when we have things that are a little bit new thoughts, it's a little bit consternation, but we have to study these things out, right? So the point that I want to make, when you go back to Ezekiel chapter 1, right?
Wenn wir jetzt zurückgehen zu Ezekiel Kapitel 1.
Let's just read through it now, and then it will maybe help us to understand what on earth is being illustrated, right?
Und das hilft uns dann vielleicht zu verstehen, was hier dargestellt wird.
Okay, let's just begin in verse 1 again. Scott, do you want to read the first 3 verses, please?
Lass uns in Vers 1 anfangen.
Now it came to pass in the 30th year of the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river Chebar, that the heavens were opened and I saw visions of God. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of the king Jehoiachin's captivity, the word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans, by the river Chebar, in the hand of the Lord, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him.
And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof was the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. And every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings.
And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another, they turned not when they went, and they went every one straight forward.
As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man, the face of a lion, and the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox. On the left side, they 4 also had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces and their wings were stretched up, 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. And they went every one straight forward, whither the Spirit was to go. They went and they turned not when they went.
Verse 13. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals, of fire and like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures, which his four faces.
With his four faces.
The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of their earth. And they four had one likeness in their appearance, and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. As for their wings, they were so high that they were broken, and their wings were full of ice, round about and full.
And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them, and when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the Spirit was to go, they went, thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels.
When those went, these went, and when those stood, these stood, and when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the color of the terrible crystal stretched forth over their heads above. And under the firmament where the wheels strayed the one toward the other. Everyone had two which covered on this side, and everyone had two which covered on that side their bodies.
And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of the great waters, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as the noise of the host. When they stood, they let down their wings. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads, when they stood and had let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of the throne as the appearance of a sapphire stone, and upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above upon it.
And I saw as the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it. From the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw, as it were, the appearance of fire, and it was brightness round about, as the appearance of the bow that is in a cloud in the day of rain. So was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake.
Okay, so what I want to suggest is this vision here begins at the 50th of the fourth month and ends at this point now where you're going to be told to eat, right?
Also was ich vorschlagen möchte, ist, dass diese Vision jetzt hier am 5. Tag des 4. Monats anfängt und dann dort am Ende der kleinen Zeit des Friedens wird dir gesagt, du sollst essen.
Right? And in verse 28, we discussed this point already.
Und Vers 28, wir haben diesen Punkt bereits schon diskutiert gehabt.
Just keep your place there, go to Revelation 10.
Gehen wir, halt den Finger hier, gehen wir zur Offenbarung 10.
Because Ezekiel is now told to do what?
In Hesekiel wird jetzt aufgetragen, was zu tun.
To eat, right?
Etwas zu essen, richtig?
Right? So you can't go and give a message until you've eaten it, right?
Du kannst ja nicht gehen und eine Botschaft transportieren, es sei denn, du hast sie zuvor gegessen.
So in Revelation 10, verse 1.
Offenbarung 10, Vers 1.
And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. Now, just look at that vision. What do we see there?
Was sehen wir hier?
Aspects of what we just read in Ezekiel.
What, no, it's the same vision as what we saw in Ezekiel. That's not the point.
Also denselben Aspekte wie in Hesekiel, Aber das ist nicht der Punkt, den ich machen möchte.
It says he's clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire, right?
Also es ist bekleidet mit einer Wolke, der Regenbogen war über sein Haupt, sein Angesicht wie die Sonne und seine Füße oder wie eine Feuersäule.
So, just jump forward, go to Revelation 12 and verse 1.
Und gehen wir jetzt zur Offenbarung 12, Vers 1.
Right? It says, there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, right? So,
Also eine Frau bekleidet mit der Sonne.
the angel in Revelation 10 Sister White says very clearly, it's the angel in Revelation 18, it's the same angel, right?
Ellen White sagt sehr deutlich, dass der Engel aus Offenbarung 10, Offenbarung 18, der Engel aus Offenbarung 18 ist.
And this is what
Derselbe Engel.
This is what Ezekiel sees there, right? And it brings him flat on his face, and then the Lord says, stand up and now eat, right?
Das ist, was Hesekiel sieht, und dann fällt er auf sein Angesicht und er sagt, steh auf und iss.
Right, so Revelation 10.
Offenbarung 10 wieder.
Verse 8.
Offenbarung 10, Vers 8.
And the voice which I heard from heaven spake unto me again and says, go and take the little book which is open in the hand of the angel which standeth upon the sea and upon the earth. And I went unto the angel and said unto him, give me the little book. And he said unto me, take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth as sweet as honey. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey. And as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter.
Bis
So
Vers
when
10.
he finished eating it, his belly was bitter, right?
Also als er aufgehört hat zu essen, wurde sein Magen bitter.
Now just go back to verse 3.
Gehen wir jetzt zurück zu Vers 3.
This angel cries, right?
Denn dieser Engel, der ruft.
And he cried with a loud voice as when a lion roareth, and when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices, right? Okay, now it's important, right? So that what he's been told to eat is the 7 thunders, right?
Was ihm aufgetragen wird zu essen, sind die 7 Donner.
Okay, so come back to this very point, right?
Kommen wir jetzt zu diesem Punkt hier.
So the 46, right?
Die Zahl 46.
This is the time of the end.
Das hier ist die Zeit des Endes.
So if I do this, right, if I put here 1798
Wenn ich jetzt hier 1798 hinsetze,
to 1844,
bis 1844,
what are we paralleling?
was können wir dann da parallel setzen zu?
The 7 thunders,
Die 7 Donner,
which is 46 years, right?
was auch 46 Jahre ist.
Begins with the time of the end and ends with the closed door, right?
Fängt mit der Zeit des Endes an und schließt mit der geschlossenen Tür ab.
Now we know that this right here is an illustration of what takes place in here, your test. This is this test here, right?
Und wir wissen aber auch, dass was da auf dem großen Fraktal stattfindet, ist einfach nur eine Darstellung, was innerhalb deines Testes stattfindet.
It's 7 thunders,
Das sind
right?
7 Donner.
So when he gets to this point, he says, eat.
Wenn du zu diesem Punkt hier kommst, sagt er, iss.
What were you to eat?
Und was solltest du essen?
The 7 thunders,
Die 7 Donner.
right?
Richtig?
And then it says, he had this bitter experience, right?
Und dann hat er diese bittere Erfahrung.
It's exactly the same as what Ezekiel was experiencing, right?
Genau dasselbe, was auch Hesekiel erfahren hat.
Right. Yeah, Führer, you got a point?
So, the 7 days where he's astonished would be parallel to the 7 months.
Okay, I still don't understand the 7 days, but I would suggest yes, but we have to.
Also die Frage ist jetzt in Hesekiel Kapitel 3, die 7 Tage, wo Hesekiel dann sozusagen verwundert ist, wären dann die 7 Donner.
Because he doesn't give the message. He's
Vermutlich ja.
because he's dumb that whole time until the end of it, right?
Er ist stumm für diese gesamte Zeit und gibt dann noch nicht die Botschaft.
The rebellious house will be those whom he gives the message to after the night call.
Das rebellische Haus sind dann diejenigen, die die Botschaft nach der 9. Stunde erhalten.
Yes, I mean, like he's gone through his test. There's a message being given in this temple. This is internal, this is external, right?
Er geht ja durch seinen Test und er gibt eine Botschaft, das ist auch intern und das andere ist extern.
Okay, you see what I mean here? Look, right
I'm
here.
not so sure why you use intern and extern. Can you explain this?
Because right here, as you're given a message,
Also hier gibst du hier eine Botschaft,
are you given a message here?
gibst du da auch eine Botschaft.
Right. So the point I'm saying is, here internally, the message we're given here, right? This is internal, right?
Also das ist die Botschaft hier, das ist ja intern, die wir unter uns hier geben.
Are we given a message? Okay, when I say internal, I mean like the people that you're given a message to here or here is different from the people that you were given a message to here.
Also die Leute, an die die Botschaft kommt, hier nach der 9. Stunde, sind andere Leute als vor der 9. Stunde.
Right, so when I say internalized, I mean that this is a group of people that you're dealing with. Once that group of people is finished with, you go now to another group of people, right? It was not part of the body that you were dealing with.
Also
right?
du gibst erstmal die Botschaft an eine Gemeinschaft und wenn die abgeschlossen ist, dann trägst du sie an eine andere Gemeinschaft weiter.
In that sense, maybe that's a wrong expression, but you get my point, right?
Since two folds.
Yes, of John 10, right?
Also sind diese zwei Herden, die Jesus hat, aus Johannes 10.
Right? So, everybody see the logic, it's at least so far. We have to look at things closer, but to see the pattern from the 5th day of the 4th month to the point you come to eat, what you have to eat, right? And the angel of Revelation 10 is the angel of Revelation 18, which is right here. You have to eat it and then go.
Kann jeder so zumindest die Logik verfolgen. Also wir haben jetzt hier den 5. Tag des 4. Monats und dann musst du danach die Botschaft essen und auch dargestellt durch den Engel aus Offenbarung 10.
Okay, so this right here is something that's instructions about something that you don't really understand, and if you don't receive that instruction right there when you get here and have to eat, it will be too much for you. You will be like Judas and you'll get offended and fall away. Right?
Deswegen in der kleinen Zeit des Friedens, da wird Jesus dir diese Anweisungen geben und wenn du sie nicht erhältst, dann wirst du letztendlich, wenn er dir das hier zu essen geben möchte, Anstoß nehmen und du wirst wie Judas wegfallen.
Okay, so my question, right? If the instructions that Christ was given was John 14, 15, 16, 17, what's the relationship between those 4 chapters and Ezekiel chapter 1?
Also meine Frage ist, wenn diese Anweisungen Johannes Kapitel 14 bis Kapitel 17 sind, was ist dann der Bezug dieser Kapitel zu Hesekiel Kapitel 1?
Because they're both the same instruction, right?
Das sind ja alles dieselben Anweisungen, richtig?
Right?
It's 4 faces, 4 wings.
Yes, okay, but how would you
4 Angesichter, 4 Flügel, 4 Kreaturen.
What does that mean? What does it represent?
Das ist auf jeden Fall diese Zahl 4, aber was stellt das dar? Was bedeutet das?
Go, just quickly, go to Revelation chapter 4.
Gehen wir zu Offenbarung Kapitel 4.
Because Revelation chapter 4 through 6, what is it about?
In Offenbarung Kapitel 4 bis Kapitel 6, worum geht es da?
It's the throne room, right?
Das ist dieser Thronsaal.
And from the 5th day of the 4th month, what did Ezekiel see? He sees Christ on the throne, right?
Vom 5. Tag des 4. Monats an, was sieht Hesekiel? Er sieht Christus auf dem Thron.
He sees a throne, right? So in the vision of earlier writings 54, when she begins the vision, where are they?
Und auch in frühe Schriften 54, als die Vision dort sieht, wo befinden sie sich?
No, they're not highlighted. These are before the throne.
Sie sieht diese 2 Gruppen vor dem
5th day of
Thron.
4th month, right? It's beginning, right?
Das fängt dort an, am 5. Tag des 4. Monats.
So he says he gives them light. then the exceeding bright light. The exceeding bright lights where they see him high and lifted up on the throne, right?
Also er gibt ihnen erstmal Licht und dann das überaus helle Licht. Und das überaus helle Licht ist ja dann, wenn sie Christus erhöht und hochgehoben sehen.
So the light is this little praying company before the throne. That's what Ezekiel. Now, what did they call Ezekiel? What was his name? His nickname?
Also was war der Spitzname von Hesekiel?
The morning prophet, right?
Yeah.
He was praying all the time, right?
Klagende Prophet. Er hat beständig im Gebet verharrt.
So he would be representing this little praying company that's bowed down before the throne, and this vision comes to him, right?
Also er stellt diese kleinen betende Schar an, die vor dem Thron verbeugt sind, und diese Vision kommt über ihn.
And in Revelation chapter 4,
Und in Offenbarung Kapitel 4,
this is nice, verse 1, right?
Vers 1.
See whether we can make the point. It says, "After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven, and the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter." Anybody?
Irgendjemand?
What marks Ezekiel 1:1?
Was markiert Hesekiel 1, Vers 1?
The heavens were open and he saw visions of God, right?
Die Himmel wurden geöffnet und er sah Visionen Gottes.
No, that's not the point. It says, I heard as it were, it says, which I heard as it were of a trumpet. What did we say yesterday? We're not clicking, right? The trumpet, right, announces the Day of Atonement is about to come, right?
Also die Posaune kündigt an, dass der Versöhnungstag, but isn't it parallel to Ezekiel 6, Isaiah 6?
Okay, that's what I'm coming to, right?
This would be at the end of the little time of peace.
Okay, but look, I'm not arguing this point. I think we're being far too narrow. We have to look at these things a lot closer, right?
But I mean, we must stick it where it's supposed to be, right?
Oh, okay.
Because he
Wait,
is holy, holy, holy.
Wait, stop making these arguments, right? Because is the book opened right at this point?
Here in Revelation?
Revelation 4, is the book opened right here?
Yes.
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying. Is it opened or is it being opened?
I mean, it says here in chapter 5 it's open. Oh no, it's closed.
It's closed. That's the point, right? And you go through these chapters now, right? These next couple of chapters, and what's happening with the book? It's being opened, it's being unsealed, right?
Also es wird auf jeden Fall jetzt in den nächsten Kapiteln entsiegelt.
Okay, so, right, Revelation 10, which is the angel with the rainbow about its head and all the rest of it, right? How is the book right there at that point when he says eat?
In Offenbarung 10, in welchem Zustand befindet sich das Buch, wenn er sagt, iss?
It's opened.
Es ist geöffnet.
It's all the 7 seals, which are, whenever there's a seal opened, he heard the voice, as it were, of thunder. Right?
Also immer wenn ein Siegel geöffnet wird, dann kommt eine Stimme wie ein Donner.
Right. So what I'm suggesting is, right at this point, he says eat now because all 7 seals have been opened and he's giving it to him to eat.
Also was ich vorschlagen möchte, ist, dort sagt er jetzt iss, denn alle 7 Siegel sind geöffnet und er kann jetzt diese 7 Donner essen.
So I would suggest from here to here, that's what he's doing. He's opening these 7 thunders, right? It's the instructions that it is being starting to be unveiled so that you can eat it right here.
Also was ich vorschlagen möchte, ist, dass in der kleinen Zeit des Friedens öffnet er ein Siegel nach dem anderen. Das sind die Anweisungen, sodass du das dann hier essen kannst.
I
Okay.
have a call with Sister White links Ezekiel 1:28 to Revelation chapter 4 verse 2, and she puts these two things together.
128, right? Yeah, that's when he sees.
Yeah, the throne, basically. This would be the end with that, right? We can read the quote. It says,
Also Ellen White hat hier ein Zitat, wo sie...
But look, please don't take your eyes off this point, right? Otherwise, We are now inventing something that's not there. This is a waymark, right? We've separated it to make this little bit of time, but it's one waymark.
Well, she makes the point that the intercession begins at that point.
Intercession.
Let's just read the quote and okay. We know what she's talking about.
Lass uns das Zitat lesen, was im Livestream ist.
It says, in heaven the semblance of the rainbow.
Where are you?
In the live stream group.
Okay, so.
It says, in heaven the semblance of a rainbow encircles the throne and overarches the head of Christ. The prophet says, as the appearance of the bow, it is in a cloud in a day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about the throne. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of Jehovah. Ezekiel 1:28. The Revelator declares, behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. There was a rainbow round about the throne, and side like unto an emerald. Revelation 4:2-3. When man, by his great wickedness, invites the divine judgment, the Savior intercedes with the Father in his behalf, points to the bow in the clouds, to the rainbow round about the throne, and above his own head, as a token of mercy of God toward the repentant sinner. With the assurance given to Noah concerning the flood, God himself has linked one of the most precious promises of his grace. As I have sworn that the waters of Noah should no more go over the earth, so have I sworn that I would not be wroth with thee, nor rebuke thee, for the mountains shall depart and the hills be removed, but my covenant shall not depart from thee, neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed, said Jehovah, the mercy on thee.
Okay, so what's your point on that?
The point that I make is that she puts these two things together, and she says that when the judgments are invited through the wickedness, which is the flood in this case, right, would be the fourth abomination. And then she says the Christ points to the bow.
Yes, but the bow's there the whole time. It's just taking this illustration from Revelation 4, but it's not putting it at a point in time. It's just showing you that the bow's above the throne, right?
The way how I understood it is that she takes these two things and puts it together with the inviting of the judgments.
So I can read that, I'm not denying that. I'm saying that the symbol of the throne, the bow above the throne, that's all she's pointing to, right? So that's there the whole time. It doesn't disappear after the book's open. It's still there. The thing is, you can't take one saying of the Saviour and make of none effect another. The point is that with the angel in Revelation 10, which also has the rainbow about the throne, because the rainbow's about the throne, the whole vision, all the way through, right? The book is opened. Whereas in this, when you read Revelation chapter 4, 5, it's not opened, it's being opened.
Yeah, but that's what I thought is, it takes 7 thunders to open the book, right?
Yes.
So the 7 thunders are from the midnight cry to the final review, to the 9th hour.
No.
7 points.
No. It's opened. Look.
That's what we...
No, it's not. Revelation 10 is the angel revelated. He comes down and says, eat. It's already opened.
Yes, but if you have also, we have also this other illustration where it says that when a seal is opened, it's thundering. And there are 7 seals, which is 7 thunders. So it takes 7 thunders to open the book. That's what we always thought.
No way. The book has already been opened. It is now to eat something that's already understood.
But when does the angel cry?
Right here.
Yes, and then the 7 thunders utter their voice, right?
Yes, because
pointing forward.
Look, why you make this out? The book is opened. Here it's not opened.
But there are different illustrations of books being. The old book is also open.
You're going to miss all this. You're going to miss all. If you're going to make this argument, the book here is an illustration of the book being opened. Right? It's going through opening one after another. Once it's opened, right? Now you can eat it. You can't eat a message that's closed. Right?
Okay. So, when it's still a progression in the revelation of the message, right? From the midnight cry to the ninth hour, because it's at the end where you fully understand it.
That's neither here nor there. The point is that to understand a message, it has to be open to you, right? You have to take it and digest it, right? You can't digest a message when it's closed, it's sealed up. Deuteronomy 29:29 says the secret things belong unto the Lord our God, but those things which are revealed right here is a revelation.
My problem is in Revelation 4, right? You have these beasts, right? The 4 beasts in Sister White parallels this to Isaiah 6. And they say here in verse 8, and the 4 beasts had each of them 6 wings about him,
Yes.
and they were full of eyes within the rest, not day and night, saying, Holy, holy, holy.
Yes.
And which is holy, holy, holy of Isaiah 6.
Yes, so that they only say, when Isaiah sees this thing, they're only saying holy, holy, holy there. They're not saying it prior to that. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
This is something that's going on all the time there. But Isaiah has his eyes opened here. Look. Yes, wait a minute. Because you're missing points, right? Yesterday in the foot washing, what was the experience of Peter? And we brought 2 things together to connect this yesterday. His eyes were opened, right? So when your eyes, what's another expression of your eyes being closed in the Bible in relation to this veil? No, from the Bible. The scales being removed from your eyes, right?
Also says this at Pentecost about the disciples, right? That the veil was removed, right, and they now could behold clearly.
Okay, so that's the point I'm making, right? So
in this case would be the end. So it's the same principle. That's what I want to say at the end.
you can't be blind and have a birth at the beginning. Can't be.
Yeah, but
that's some. Wait a minute, Fiona. Wait, just stick one point at a time. Don't overrule one point to go down the road. Okay, so okay, the birth. When you have a birth, right? It's we went to John 15.
Your eyes are open.
Okay, your eyes are open. But now, but okay, there's now something different is taken place, right? So we're dealing with this point, and we're dealing with this point. When he says eat in Revelation 10, the book is opened, right? Now we know that the experience here is going to reveal more things to you that you have to have, right? So you have this second birth, right? It's just like the experience, you know, from here to here, for instance, right? The tarrying time, what do? You've got to gather the manna.
I have a strong point, I think. In Revelation chapter 5, right?
Yes.
Sister White marks it as a flying roll
Yes.
with all the other points, right?
Yes.
We mark all these things with a flying roll at the midnight cry, yes?
Okay,
Because the point I want to make is the book, right, in the right hand, within it without a seal with 7 seals, and it has to be opened. It's the same book like in Revelation chapter 4. So it's sealed, right? In Revelation chapter 5 is at the midnight cry, and it's a progression to open up the book.
No, it's opened there. That's what you're not getting. Revelation 10, it's opened when he eats it.
Revelation 5 is
No,
sealed.
listen. Yes, Revelation 5, it's sealed, right? And when you get to Revelation 10, it's now opened.
Yeah, so where do
Okay.
you take then Revelation
Okay, look,
chapter 5?
look, I'm not arguing about things that I can't answer, right? I'm taking what we can do. Go to Ezekiel 1, verse 28, right? Just contradicting the scriptures when you say that it's not open there, right? Ezekiel 1:28 says, as the appearance of the bow that's in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake, right? So when you go to Revelation 10,
Okay, das ist Offenbarung 10,
verse 1.
Vers 1.
And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little book open, right? And he set his right foot upon the sea, and his left foot on the earth, and cried with a loud voice, as when a lion roareth. And when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. right? It's open. It's an open message. Now it's there to be understood. You still have to comprehend it. That's why you've got to eat it, right? But prior to this point, that message is closed, right? And this is what it's showing you in the throne room there. It's been opened, one seal after another, right? Bit by bit. So when you get to Revelation 10, it's now open. And the seven thunders right here is you comprehending the message, just like the Millerites did from 1798 to 1844, right? It's 46. It's your trial where you're going through, where you're eating a message, right, which is sweet and leads to this bitter experience because you get, it is done right there, and you it's the experience of Christ, right?
You say that the bitter experience is at the end.
Okay, you tell me what the Bible says, right? Go to chapter 3, right? Verse 2.
When Ezekiel
chapter 3, verse 2.
Wir sind jetzt in Ezekiel 3, Vers 2.
Begin at verse 1.
Oder fangen wir schon in Vers 1 an?
Moreover, he said to me, Son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll, and go speak to the house of Israel. So I opened my mouth and caused me to eat that roll. Now, we know that roll is that book in Revelation, right? They're both written on both sides, etc., etc. We know, we've studied this, right?
Also wir wissen, dass diese Buchrolle hier in Ezekiel dasselbe ist wie das Buch in Offenbarung.
And he said unto me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowels with this roll that I give thee. Then did I eat it, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. So how does it start off? Honey for sweetness, the message when you eat it. But
Also
right
die
down,
Botschaft ist erstmal süß, wie Honig.
verse 14.
Vers 14.
So the Spirit lifted me up and took me away, and I went in bitterness in the heat of my spirit, but the hand of the Lord was strong upon me. Right? So, but now you have a repeat and enlarged. You have these 7 days, right?
I thought that the 7 days is the bitter experience.
Also
Okay.
was sind die 7 Tage, das ist jetzt noch, was wir herausfinden müssen.
Maybe you're correct on that, but the point I want to make is that the order of is first it's sweet, then it's bitter.
Yeah, the sweet is the experience you have right at the beginning, but the whole process is a bitter experience. It's a bitter cup.
Also diese süße Botschaft ist am Anfang und danach hast du diesen bitteren Kelch zu trinken.
I'm not arguing that point, but the point I want to make is that every time you're eating part of that message, it's sweet, right? Okay, but I'm not disagreeing that the whole experience is bitter, but I'm just saying that when you finish that thing, the whole thing was a bitter experience, but it was designed.
The whole thing was a bitter experience. It's just at the end, he says, I will remove the bitter cup from you and give it to those who have caused you to bow down. So,
also die ganze Erfahrung ist letztendlich eine bittere Erfahrung und am Ende nimmt er diesen bitteren Kelch weg.
Okay, I'm not arguing that point, but the only point that I'm making is from the moment that he says eat, it's open.
I'm not
Der Punkt, den ich machen möchte, ist von dem Moment, wo er sagt, esse, da ist das Buch geöffnet.
For instance, if you go by Daniel standing in the slot, right? Daniel stands in the slot, he says, go thy way, Daniel, for the book is sealed till the time of the end, right? In the end of it you shall stand in the slot.
Also wenn du zu Daniel 12 gehst, da sagt er, geh deinen Weg, Daniel, denn das Buch ist bis zur Zeit des Endes versiegelt.
Right, and you have basically 1798 and 1844, which is like both marks at the time of the end,
Ja, 1798 und 1844, was beides die Zeit des Endes ist.
At both places Daniel stands in the slot, and both places the book is unsealed.
In beiden Stellen steht Daniel in seinem Erbteil und in beiden Plätzen ist das Buch entsiegelt.
So I agree, at the midnight cry, the book is open, you are not to take it and understand it.
Yes.
Right. Ich stimme dazu, dass am Mitternachtsruf das Buch geöffnet ist, du musst es nehmen und verstehen.
If you go, for instance, to Daniel chapter 2, it took him time to get the understanding till it was fully open to him, and now he had it, and now it truly was open to him what was.
Also in Daniel Kapitel 2 zum Beispiel, das hat Daniel Zeitbedarf, bis er das dann wirklich völlig verstanden hat, wo es dann wirklich völlig für ihn geöffnet wurde.
No, I don't disagree with that, but the point I'm making is that right here, Christ has opened it. Deuteronomy 29:29. It's now there for you to eat and understand, right? It takes time for that, right?
Also, Punkt, den ich machen möchte, ist, dass es jetzt hier möglich ist, das zu verstehen. Er hat es für dich geöffnet. Es braucht aber Zeit, dass du es
The only
verstehst.
argument I'm making, right, is that it can't be sealed here, right?
Der Punkt, den ich machen möchte, ist, es kann hier nicht versiegelt sein.
Just go to, oh, we're over time. Last point. Go to Isaiah 29.
Letzter Punkt. Gehen wir zu, which Isaiah?
Isaiah 29.
Isaiah 29.
Verse 10.
Isaiah 29, Vers 10.
It says, For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes. Right? So at the end of the foot washing, what are your eyes?
Am Ende der Fußwaschung, was passiert mit deinen Augen?
Say it again, Dan. At the end of the foot washing, they're open, right? But here,
Am Ende der Fußwaschung werden sie geöffnet.
these guys, their eyes are closed, right?
Aber hier sind deren Augen verschlossen.
The prophets and your rulers, the seers hath he covered, and the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. So you can't have,
Das ist Vers 11.
you can't eat the vision right there if it's sealed. It has to be open.
Du kannst die Vision hier nicht irgendwie essen, wenn sie versiegelt ist. Sie muss geöffnet sein.
That's the point. It's saying in Revelation 10, the book is open,
Das
the
ist
being unsealed.
Punkt aus Offenbarung 10. Das Buch ist geöffnet.
So it says that at the time of the book is unsealed. So all I'm saying is, this is like one way map. The book gets unsealed and is given to you to eat, and you are now comprehending the message that you've got to take
Das Buch
forward.
ist hier entsiegelt und du musst jetzt die Botschaft sozusagen lernen zu verstehen, wenn du vorwärts gehst. When you go, for instance, to Daniel 12, right?
Yes.
It speaks about the scattering of the holy people.
The 1260.
Yes, which would be the midnight cry to the 9th hour, right? So, therefore, the book gets, in another illustration, sealed at the midnight cry and opened at the 9th hour. So, you have different illustrations, you have different
But it's just
stories
but it's
showing
just
that there's a book open, but also sealed. So,
okay, but it's not sealed to you. It's sealed to them.
no. You get the increase of knowledge at the end of the 1260.
Okay, nobody's denying that. Look, why are we making these arguments? Look, there's a birth at the beginning, right? You're now getting an increase in knowledge. And nobody's denying at the end there's another birth. So if there's another birth at the end, what must there be? Another light must come to you, right? So that's not in any denial anything's been said. There's a birth at the beginning, birth at the end. We know this, right?
Yes. No, my point is only Revelation chapter 4. It's Isaiah 6. So
No,
in this
it's-
sense you have a closed book also at the midnight cry. Then
No, you're saying it's Isaiah 6 just because you read holy, holy, holy there.
Yes,
right?
and also many other things. I mean,
Okay.
we can discuss it later.
But, okay, you have to get round Revelation 10. The book is open.
Yes, I don't have a
Here the
problem.
book is closed.
Yes, I don't have a problem with that.
But
Just
also in
both mark at the same
Revelation
time.
5, right? Sister White marks with the flying robe. As far as I understand, it's the midnight cry. Otherwise, you would have to move Ezekiel 9 and things like this also.
No, I'm not denying the flying roll. That's what you're eating.
Yeah,
But it's open.
yeah, but in Revelation 5, it's closed.
Come back to this point. Okay, let's leave this point. We're over 10 minutes.
Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this study.
Lieber himmlischer Vater, ich möchte dir danken für dieses Studium.
And please, Lord, help us to understand the deep things of your word.
Und bitte, Herr, hilf uns, die tiefen Dinge deines Wortes zu verstehen.
Help us to prove everything.
Hilf uns, alles zu prüfen.
And Lord, help us, especially today, to develop your thoughts.
Can you repeat this?
Help us to dwell upon the thoughts.
Okay, hilf uns, während des Tages über diese Dinge nachzudenken.
And Lord, help us also to think about your promise that in our weakness your strength is made
hilf uns auch an die Verheißung zu denken, dass in unserer Schwachheit deine Kraft vollkommen ist.
And I ask and pray in Jesus' name.
Und ich bitte und danke in Jesu Namen.
Amen.
Amen.